Up, YouTube? I'm your host, Damian Perryman. I'm uh, with Can I Get Some Podcast, the podcast that's devoted to everything related to pop culture, relationships, and politics. We got an interesting and a great show today. First of all, I want to bring back up my co-host. As always, first I want to start off with the lovely, lovely, and talented Miss Shannon. How you doing today, Miss
Hey,
Shannon?
big
Looking,
hair,
like you
don't
said, big hair
care.
don't care, huh? Okay. Next, I want to bring up our provocateur of everything hot and spicy. She's the person that brings the heat every time we have one of these shows. So I want to next introduce everybody to, once again, Miss Jazz. How are you doing today, Miss Jazz?
I'm absolutely amazing. It's good to be here.
Good, 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 good. Got to hear you feeling well. All right. So today is going to be an interesting show. Now, I got the idea for this show. My wife and I were laying in bed watching some show. I couldn't even remember what it was, or I would tell you guys, where the couples were had a non-traditional relationship. They were in fact swingers. And my wife sat back and she looked at me and was like, huh, they seem really happy. He was like, is there a secret that they know that we don't know? Is there something that they have, something X factor in a relationship that allows them to still retain this tight and committed bond and be okay with seeing their partners with someone else? And it was just something that, don't get me wrong, my wife is not saying that she wants to swing. That's not what she's saying at all. She just wants to basically say, she was basically saying that, what is it about people who have adopted this type of relationship that can work? So I really wanted to dive deep in that. So, as you know, Miss Jazz has not made any secret of the fact that she is in a relationship that's very free and open, and her partner allows her to express herself with other people, and we're going to definitely dive into that a little bit later. And we're going to be answering questions from the chat. So if you guys have questions about different types of relationships and things like that, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll answer them as quick as we get them. And we'll try to get some clarity on the subject. And later on, we're going to have a really, really, really special treat for you guys. We're going to have we had a really amazing, amazing person that's going to be joining us a little bit later. Her name is Gayle Lynn Marsh. She's actually a relationship coach, and she has a lot of experience in coaching and in helping out couples that want to explore non-traditional relationship, non-monogamous relationships. I spoke to her last night at length, and believe me, guys, she's going to be it's going to be a ton of fun, and she's going to have a wealth of information to share with you guys. So I'm going to bring her up later. So first of all, I just want to kind of get the definitions out of the way, because people, when you come to non-traditional relationships, there's a wide variety of what people would consider non-traditional relationships. So let's get the most popular and the most commonly heard are polyamorous relationships, open relationships or marriages, or swinging style relationships. So let me go ahead and pull up the definition of what exactly those mean. All right. A polyamory relationship is the practice of engaging in multiple romantic and typically sexual relationships with the consent of all people involved. I think that separates it from kind of just like, dating other people, what have you. There is a commitment there in these relationships. So next is open marriage or relationship. A marriage or relationship in which both partners agree that each may have sexual relationships with others. And finally, it's swinger. There's a couple of different terms for it. We'll just focus on the second one. A person who engages in group sex or a swapping of sexual partners. So that is the textbook definition of polyamory, swinging, and open marriages. So, I kind of want to talk to you guys and just get an idea of your experiences with any of these types of relationships. I'll start it off. You know, uh, back in my 20s, early 20s or what have you, I would say I was in what was could be considered a somewhat a polyamorous relationship. I met a woman when I was out. We dated for a while, and then she informed me that she had a female friend that she was interested in also dating as well. I was open to that. Uh, uh, young guys, it's like, oh well, you got a female friend who uh, wants to kind of join in. The more the merrier. That's kind of where my head was at. So let's just call the person I was dating A, and we'll call not their real first initial. So don't go searching for somebody who's first initial A. And the second, her friend was B. Now there was a couple of complications in their relationship. A actually was had a partner. We'll call him C, who wasn't a fan or wasn't the idea of her exploring different parts of her sexuality with anybody but him. He knew when he met her that she was bisexual and like women, but he was very adamant about that not being a part of their thing, their relationship. So she started to kind of break away from him. We started dating, and it turned into what some would consider like a polyamorous relationship. A throuple is kind of the buzzword of the day, where we would like hang out, have dinner, go to movies, go to concerts, and what have you. Uh, you know, so it lasted for about 3 months. I enjoyed it. It was a great time, and but like a lot of relationships, that involved people, the human factor became a part of it, and it ended up not working out for the long term, which was best because I'm sure they've probably gone on and lived the amazing lives that they were supposed to, and I know I'm living an amazing life right now. So that's kind of my experience with non-traditional relationships. We're gonna save you, Jazz, for last, because you got some stories to tell, and we're looking forward to hearing them. So how about you, Shannon? Have you had any experience with non-traditional relationships?
Not really, but I have had an experience where there was sex with more than one person at a time. So, I guess you could say that I've had a threesome, maybe a foursome.
More some.
But yeah, I've had some experiences, all consensual, but as far as a relationship, generally I am more prone to date one person, a man at a time.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I have been asked to, how do I feel about having another woman as like a sexual partner or have a threesome?
Mm-hmm.
I've never had another person come into the bedroom while I was in a relationship. So I've had some experiences with, multiple sex partners at one time, but never in a relationship setting.
Okay. It's just more for like fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now we gotta get let in the chat. You gotta unmute yourself, Jazz, if you want to jump in here.
Oh,
I want you to
absolutely. I was just
kind of
laughing. I
explain
see.
your situation and let us know how the real people do it. We got these.
Well, fun is always good. So before I begin, guys, I'm super excited about this evening. I just want to remind everybody, it's like 5 or 6 people watching. If everybody can just please take the time and press the thumbs up, just press the like button as we're looking. It really does help with our algorithm as we're doing this. Just so YouTube will know that you guys like us talking about this fun stuff. And also, if you got a dope ass friend that can contribute to this conversation, press the share button. Share it. It does not cost you anything just to share the conversation, guys. So it'll be super fun tonight. But just please, just do us the honors and just hit the thumbs up. I even hit the thumbs up, so you guys do the same. So I'll talk a little bit about me. I just wanted to get that housekeeping out of the way because it's all about housekeeping.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So, so for myself, I definitely, I originally started off like Shannon, just kind of more of a monogamous situation and had some fun. And then I had the opportunity to meet the love of my life where we shared the same similar beliefs of what non-monogamy looks like in our relationship. And so in our relationship, it is open, more is open one-sided on my side. I have as much fun as I choose to. However, when I say that, I really need people to understand that even though I have fun and I explore myself and my sexual inhibitions and different things like that, I'm 100% committed in my relationship. So people need to understand that just because people have different relationships, like by definition, the commitment is really still the same. It's just we choose to explore different things together in a very open and honest way.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I wanted to kind of highlight. You know, when people get on these subjects and they talk about like non-traditional relationships, you know, swinging, polyamory, and open relationships, they focus a lot on the sexual or the physical aspects of it, and they kind of don't really delve into the relationship aspect of it. We know how body parts work. We know where to put stuff. We know where everybody's putting stuff. We don't need to kind of like go over where things going, how big it is going in there, and how often it's. We don't need all that. We don't need to focus on that. There's going to be some of that, I guarantee, with this crew. But you know, I kind of want to like really focus on like the relationship aspects. Like, you know, can these relationships be solid? Do they know something that we don't? You know, that was the kind of the thumbnail was like, you know, is there something that they know that we don't? You know, when it comes to a happy relationship. So that's what I want to focus on. Right now, we have some guests. We have people who are willing to share their journey and their story with us. I want to bring up to the table. They're not going to cam up because, you know, for anonymity, and I appreciate them just coming on. We have coming up right now, we're going to bring up Honey and Big Mike. I gotta hear the story behind the name Big Mike. But thank you again. Thank you guys for coming up.
Thank
Honey
you.
and Big Mike, how you doing?
Hello.
I'm so excited you guys are here.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. So
I'm glad to be here.
good. So how did just give us a little background about your relationship, how you guys met, and you know, how did this whole thing, did you guys meet in the lifestyle, or did you kind of develop it together? Tell me how this thing kind of unfolded for you guys.
Well, from my perspective, um, we didn't meet like this, but it unfolded like this. You know, it was kind of like explore this, explore that, and I like this and I like that, and okay, well, you know, that works, and you know, we just tinkered around with what works for us and what didn't work for us. That's basically it. Like, you know, we met years ago. This is a 20 plus year
Oh, wow.
relationship, actually marriage.
Hold up. We're getting a little bit of feedback. Sorry about it. I want to see if there's something I can do to kind of like change it. Y'all hearing that feedback as well?
Yeah, I'm
So
hearing
let me see what to do. Let me just make sure it's not me. Let me mute everybody and just got to get an idea where it's coming from.
Mm-mm.
You still hear it?
I'm here. I don't
I
hear
think
it.
it's your mic, Shannon.
Oh,
Mute yourself. Just mute yourself. I'll mute you, and then when just unmute yourself when you want to say something.
okay.
Okay, there we
Okay,
go.
that sounds
All right.
yeah, that's a lot better. So
Okay.
this is a ongoing relationship. We didn't dive into about maybe 8 years into our marriage. So, we were kind of new to it or whatever. And we just started, I liked what I liked and I liked what he liked, and it worked. And, it took some time to get used to, because, if you're not used to the situation, um, it could be difficult, because sometimes you got one thing where guys go wrong. They allow themselves to choose, if they want to bring another partner in with a female. Um, that's the female's position all the time. That's the wife's position. That is the girlfriend's position. That is not for the male to choose. And that could cause conflict, in the relationship, in the situation, if um, she doesn't approve. And sometimes, if she doesn't approve it and he approves, and, you know, it just won't work out, because it's just not, the energy isn't right, if that makes sense or not. So the best part about it is just, allowing your spouse, which is your female, she's the boss anyway, to control the whole situation. If she controls the situation, then everything will be fine. But it's sometimes, men find themselves trying to control the situation, and it's something. It always will be something, because they want to be head of everything. And I'm not saying that, some women don't allow their spouse or their husband to control the situation. I mean, that works for them. But majority of the time, if the female chooses the partner to bring into the relationship or whatever, then that works out best for everyone.
Okay. So would you consider yourself out of the three non-traditional relationship types that we talked about, would you consider yourself swingers or open relationship?
I wouldn't consider us as swingers, because we never shared our bed with a male partner. Because my spouse, he um, he leans towards more of the female. So, because it's me that, um, let's see, how can I put this?
Just put it
Um,
how it is. Just say it how it is.
it's me that allows, the situation to happen. But I mean, I tell him all the time, he's like, I don't think that he don't think he can go all the way towards the swinging half of the situation. So, you know, that's his perspective. That's his choice. As being in a relationship, sometimes that works and sometimes that don't work, because sometimes, what if, you're not feeling that way all the time, which you're not. But then again, you know, you don't want to cause no conflict, if that makes sense. You want everything to be smooth and, go accordingly of how it's supposed to. But yeah, my spouse, he doesn't like to share me. I wouldn't share me either. But anyway, not with no other male, because he already know the situation with that. But I mean, it works, and what do you got to say about it?
Well, the
Yeah,
thing
Big Mike, I
about
want to hear your point of view.
the thing about it, man, I got two penitentiary numbers. I was locked up in California, and like I had everybody got a pass, you know what I mean? But my pass just happened to be, I'm from California originally, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of grew up in, a certain lifestyle. And it's like I done been around a lot of men, and like I can't stand the smell of a man. You know what I mean? Like, I smell good enough. You know what I mean? So I just, I just, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I can
He can't share me.
do my mind to even,
That's what it
But
boils
but
down
we've
to.
been with like 20 women at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been in a situation like that because we had a porn company too. Like I said, I'm from California. So
Got you.
I'm
Got you.
not
Got
gonna
you.
tell you what our porn company was, but we, Chas knows.
So you created and produced pornography. That's what you did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you
Yes.
star in it with the people as well, or were you
No,
actors
we were
in this?
behind the scenes. Behind the
Okay.
scenes, we're the bosses, of course. Um,
Got you.
and we've done a lot. We've done a lot. I mean, we've had parties where it was just, like he said, about 20. 20 plus females in the room, you know, everybody, whatever. I mean, you know, but we're the friends that everybody wants to be around, if that makes sense. Because where I go, I have like, no matter what, where I go, I have, you know, like I don't want to say a flock, I have a team or whatever
Got a
of
stable.
females that's always with me or at phone call reach, you know what I mean? So it's whatever.
So let me
It
get
all
somebody's
works.
got some questions. You guys, I know now it's the questions gonna probably start flying to what you just said. So let's pull up some of these comments and get an idea of what people are saying. Terrence says, so does the dude have a dude in charge of what dude he brings in? He just said he ain't bringing in no other dudes. That's not happening.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah,
And like I
yeah.
said, I wouldn't share me either. I mean, if you got somebody like me, you wouldn't want to share with nobody else because it is what it is. I mean, I
Terrence was
am who
like,
I am.
But you know
Terrence,
what turned us off to that though too? Like we went to this swinger club when we've been like we travel the world, and we were at the world famous in Vegas. What was that?
The
And
red door.
Red Door. So we've had like couples approach us, and wanting to but a lot of times the couples will lie and they'll be like, oh yeah, we're married, we've been married this long, and then further in the conversation you find out that they're not married, and it's like, yeah, I see, I'm not opposed to doing it, but it have to be a solid relationship like us. Like if you solid in your relationship, it can't just be we've been in this lifestyle, you know what I'm saying, you can get approached by frauds, people who are just
Just there. So
just
basically,
posing.
what he's trying to say is he's not opposed to share me with another male. It's just that it has to be like another married couple, if that makes sense. This has a solid relationship.
gotcha. I understand. Because you don't want no headaches of maybe somebody coming to try to date you behind the back and all that kind of
Absolutely.
stuff like that.
Absolutely.
I get you. I get what you're saying. So,
This
Jazz,
is
I just
grown-
gotta go ahead, Mike.
I'm sorry, and this is grown stuff. Like you're dealing with matters of the heart, you're dealing with emotions, and one small move and it can wreck your relationship.
But see, again, that's why it has to be rules to the situation. First and foremost, you have to set boundaries of what you want, how you want it, what you like, who's going to do what. It has to be boundaries, because if there's no boundaries and everybody's just doing whatever the hell they want to do, that's a problem, you know. And like I said, you know, the most successful stories that we've had, because we've had some bombs, trust and believe, it's when I control the situation. Now, if I handle it, if I choose, of course, any man that allows a female to choose, you know, they're gonna be game for whatever. Like, oh, okay, you know, oh, that's okay, whatever. But it has to be the right energy, the right person, the right situation.
I
Because
got you.
if it don't work.
I want to have Jazz jump back in here and just get an idea if that's the kind of same situation she's kind of dealing with.
Yes, yes. So welcome, Honey and Big Mike. It is a pleasure to have you guys on this evening. I'm super excited to hear from you guys. Um, so yeah, my relationship is exactly like theirs, just on the reverse side. So I'm the one that do more of the, sexual, exploration, for lack of terminology this evening. But to bring back to what Honey said and what Big Mike said, which is very, very important, is you have to vet these other people. It's not just like a window, just a whirlwind, right? Because we are dealing with emotions of the heart. You are still dealing with the commitment that you have with your partner. And so a lot of times, like, even if you go to like lifestyle parties or like swingers clubs or whatever the case may be, that's why 90% of them, they make men can't just come alone. They have to come with someone. And that's because it's a part of the vetting process. If a man comes with a woman, then most likely that's his lady, that's his wife, is someone where it's a little bit more controlled and there isn't the inhibition of be disrespectful and move outside of what is, I mean, because as much fun as we're all having, it really is still really controlled because we have to respect each other's rules. So just like Honey and Mike have their rules, me and my guy, we have our rules before it's playtime, and you talk about those things. Now, there's been times even in my own relationship where, you know, I didn't fucked up. I didn't move the line a little longer because I didn't know, I'm new to this. It's not the same thing as like, you're taught monogamy from like birth, like we're indoctrinated in that. So other relationships and different things like that, I need, you have to learn as you grow. You have to be open and honest. What does that look like? And be okay with accepting the correction or moving forward and what I need to do. TJ asked in the comments, and I just wanted to address it, that if there was a guy that my love did not want me seeing or talking to, can he make that call? Yes, he has made that call before in the past, TJ. So it's not like I'm just getting buck wild. I do whatever I want to do in regards of how he feels or whatever the case may be. If for whatever reason he's saying, that's it, then that's it. So, we always have to be mindful. You're still dealing with a real relationship. You're still dealing with people who love each other, people who are still 100% devoted and building a house and raising kids and all those different things together. This is just one aspect of our lives that we're talking about. However, rules still apply. I mean, we have a hell of a lot of fun, but rules still apply. So it definitely does require openness, honesty, and discipline.
I just want to give a quick shout out to my boy Poppy Blanco TV. That's my man. Appreciate you, Poppy. I can't believe I just called him another man Poppy on this thing, but that's his name, so I'm gonna have to call him that. He's my dog. All right. All right. And Terrence asked another question, and this is a question I guess he was directed toward Big Mike. Big Mike, have you ever disapproved of anybody that Honey wanted to bring into the relationship? Have you been like, nah, I can't rock with that, or you just made it happen regardless?
Oh, many a time.
Oh, okay.
Oh, many a time.
Yeah. Man, what would be the circumstances that you would just be like, can't do it?
Right.
He said, what is the circumstance? It was majority the energy.
Yeah, energy. It definitely has to be vibration. You definitely gotta people's vibes, because people change, especially when liquor's involved, or if you smoking good. This ain't the person that you met in the club. Like, this is somebody different.
Yeah, and vice versa, because sometimes he would pull me to the side and be like, hey, this and that, and I'll be like, oh no, I'm cool, or whatever. It's the same, like, he knows that he's not supposed to bring him to the table, but some days he feeling a little like he can do that, and and I'll shut it down immediately. Gotcha. Because if I don't choose, it don't happen.
I understand. I get that.
And that's a great point. I just wanted to jump in real quick, Damien. For people who are considering this, right? I know a lot of times men think it's just, it's just all about a good feast for your penis, right? And that's a good joy in it. However, in order to maintain a healthy relationship, the woman is who's doing most of the vetting and checking off on the box, because most of the time, like, let's just be honest, like, y'all gonna be like, oh, she got a fat ass and her face all right, but she can get it tonight. And but we have to vet other things. Like, we got to make sure, like, she not no snake. She's not a woman that's gonna try to come back in on a marriage or on a situation, right? And so that's where women come back in at, and we choose those people because women have a totally different conversation than what men are having. So, like, I've had women vet me before in situations like prior to me even being with my guy, you know, and they're like, they explain the rules, like, yo, this is what this need to look like. Don't think you about to be calling his job, doing this, doing that. If y'all about to do any of that, run it through me. And I'm like, okay, cool. But you have to know your place and how to play your role. It's not being disrespectful, saying know your place. It's just in everything in life, like even in a corporation. You can't walk in a corporation and act like you the manager and you just start working there. Like, nah, have a seat at your seat, right? You work your way into a situation. It's a manager in place, it's supervisors in place. Everybody has a role. So until we start like really being respectful of those different type of things, I think that's where people are misunderstanding it, and where people see all these pitfalls and stuff because people are not following the rules. And if you're disrespectful in a monogamous relationship, like if your ass cannot be faithful in a monogamous relationship, stay away from these grown people conversations and relationships.
Facts.
You got to be for real on this
All
one.
right, that's
I'm
what's
just
up.
saying.
All right.
Absolutely.
So right now, I'm gonna bring up our guest, and like I said earlier in the show, I am very happy to have her. She is an amazing person. I spoke to her at length last night. She is a relationship and coach, and it has a lot of like a wealth of knowledge when it comes to non-monogamous, non-traditional relationships. So if there are people listening, like not only do I have like some you guys up here, but I have somebody who does this, who coaches people through the pitfalls of what could come up if you were try to navigate these waters yourself. So let me just give you a little bit of information about her. So her Miss Gayle Lynn is a relationship coach focused on what to do when your partner wants to have sex with another person, or maybe you want to have sex with somebody else. She has a passion to empower her clients to make educated choices about their relationship. She has personally experienced her spouse coming to her and express his desire to have sex with someone else. So many people will go out and cheat on their partner when there's a better way to handle the situation. Creating open and honest communication is key in these situations. Big feelings come up and many people don't know how to process them. Having someone who has no agenda and creates a space where there will be no shame or guilt in what the client is in the client's experience. Through Gayle Lynn's experience, she learned how messy relationships can be. When someone is expressing their sexual desires, she helps to navigate family and cultural beliefs, communication pitfalls, processing emotions, and more. Her desire is that her clients will be able to evolve their relationship into what they desire and achieve inner peace. For some, this may create more intimacy in a marriage, opening the marriage. For some, it may be a divorce, whichever decision is made, she can guide you through it without judgment or agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to bring up Miss Gayle Lynn Marsh to the floor. Let me just bring her up in 1 second. Hold on a second. And here she is. Your bio justice, Gayle.
I love it. The conversation is just fantastic. And I thank you for letting me be a part of this. It's super, super fun, super exciting to hear the different stories and how Honey and Big Mike have navigated it, how Jazz has navigated it. And, you know, I love it because you guys are there. You got it. It's that communication piece and making sure your pillars are solid, you know, between you as far as what you're going to allow, what you want. It is interesting, though. I have a partner who likes to pick, and he does a really good job of picking, I must say. So it really comes down to, you know, what do you guys want to personally have between your relationship? Because that's what I'm all about. It's what's between you guys. It doesn't matter what everybody else is doing, but what are you going to do? What are you going to allow? What boundaries do you have? You know, is there condoms, not condoms? how many times you can do it, what, there's so many things that can come up. And so, yeah, I love it. I love how you guys have really defined how you want to go about approaching this whole entire topic.
Gayle, you have a really interesting story. We talked about it last night. I think people think that when people bring these up, people are all like gung ho or what have you. Tell us what happened when your husband, first I want to know how far into the relationship, the marriage, did your husband say, I want to experience other women?
30 years.
Okay, 30 years into a relationship.
Yep. So 30 years in the relationship. And yeah,
what was your response?
He came to me and he says it. He's like, I've never seen another woman and I really want to have sex with somebody else. I went into like shock because, I had all my family and cultural and religious beliefs that we had followed so closely over 30 years. And so to hear this coming out my ears, what did I do? I went up to my closet, shut the door, screamed and cried. Right. So because there was a lot to get through. I had to deal with my self-worth issues. What else was there was a lot of other dynamics with our oldest son that we had going on at the time. And I was focused on baby bird and not so much on taking care of daddy in the bedroom. And so there were a few dynamics that were going on that both of us needed to work through. Now, mind you, he had never had sex with anybody else. 30 years. I was the only one. So he never got that time to play like most of us do before we dive into a marriage. I mean, we got married when he was 18 and I had just turned 21. So it was a young one. So yeah, that began a journey, and it began a journey of self-development. And you're right. You can't come into this conversation if you're not ready for big people talk. And it took a while. And that's something that people can really take in, is that if you're wanting to go down these routes, whether it's swinging or opening your relationship, whatever it is, take your time. There's no rush. There's lots of communication to be had, or it is going to get really messy. And we did take our time. We actually started down different avenues of trying different things like orgasmic meditation, amping up the intimacy between us, and doing some, the good old berries and whipped cream and role play and all that fun stuff, which was great. It was fun, but that longing to see another pussy never went away. So is this X-rated or not X-rated?
It is. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. Let it fly.
That's what I said. Gayle, you're in a safe place. You're my girl for that.
Okay, good. So, so it, just that, having that kind of space began to open us both up. And so once he came back and had the desire again, what we did is we actually engaged in some sacred sexuality training. And it was a great space because it was a container. It was a workshop that we went to for like 4 days where you could actually engage with other people. So you could kind of, free dance with these other people instead of just you and your partner, which meant, you're not having sex or anything like that, but you're doing very intimate, energetic type exercises with them. And we're in the same room. So I can see him with another woman and he can see me with another man. And so right there, you could definitely feel some of the jealousy start to flesh up within him. However, for me, I have natural compersion. For whatever reason, it doesn't bother me to see my husband having sex with somebody else. So I got this, I drew the straw on that one. That's all I can say. But then when we were done with that workshop for that weekend, it was like, yeah, we gave each other permission to start dating and seeing other people. And we still kind of took it slow. It was still several months before we actually got to the point where we chose to take the leap and see other people.
Okay. So why did you choose to do relationship coaching?
Why? Because I went through it, right? Boots on the ground. Like, how many people reach out to a relationship coach and these desires are coming up and they want to work through this, or they may be already in the lifestyle and they don't have somebody who's actually in the lifestyle or has experienced an open relationship and polyamory and swinging. And so helping others navigate through it is like, I love it, because I want people to really be on their optimal, joyous relationship path. And so finding that and finding out what each authentically wants is where we need to start. And then kicking up that communication piece, because the communication is where it usually falls.
Okay. It's funny. You know, I kind of want you to kind of touch on what we talked about last night about the progression of you and your husband's relationship once you guys got the ball rolling. Where are you guys now and how did you get there?
Okay.
That was a good one.
So, you know, through the relationship, I mean, we were really enmeshed for 30 years. Like, all our businesses we co-owned, we worked together in the same house, in our own offices, we did everything together. So when we started on this journey, it was interesting, like all the codependency, the enmeshment, all of it started showing up. So we really chose to start to get into a space to uncouple in a very conscious way. And that started by, you know, let's spend 2 weeks apart. And then he ended up getting a gig in California. And so then he ended up spending a good year and a half. He'd come back every once in a while and then go back out. But then we got to this space where we kind of realized one of the reasons we got married was kind of out of shame and guilt. And so there was that piece that, like, we didn't discount our marriage. We had a beautiful marriage, beautiful kids, everything, loved it. But there was just this piece of energy that we started it with that was out of shame and guilt, you know, to make sure the church was happy, to make sure the parents were happy. And then there was this other piece of like us being able to really authentically find out who we are on the inside and out. And to do that, we needed that time and space apart. And eventually we decided to get a divorce so that we could really be free and really dive into who we are. But we're best friends. We talk with each other every day. We still go swinging together. So, you know, if I walk into the swinger bar, they're like, "Where's your partner at?" I'm like, "My partner? Oh, former partner." Because that's who they usually see me with. So, you know, we've just been able to bring our relationship actually to a completely different level, with a lot more freedom and finding out who we are. So
That's what's up. Okay. Wow. It's funny because, like I said, people get hung up on the sexual aspects of non-traditional relationships as opposed to the relationship aspect, and those are the things that I feel are the most important. If you decide to want to go that, is like, how do you maintain the relationship? You know, the sex is the sex. You know. So let's bring in some of these questions that people are asking really quickly. Terrence Johnson, one of our favorite contributors, he's always come with some cool questions. Says, question for all y'all: is there anything that would make you guys want to choose an open relationship? So I'll let Shannon go. What you say?
Close the open relationship. They want to close the open relationship.
Oh, close. I'm sorry. To close the open relationship. Thank you. So Big Mike, Honey, Jazz.
I'll wait on Big Mike and Honey. They're more veteran than I am.
Okay, so the question, right? It's something. I can say not being honest. You know, like if something happened between the two, and it was like, you know, to the point where emotions got involved, or, you know, someone went behind someone's back and did something, that would definitely close that openness of the relationship, and it would be no longer.
But with that
As-
in the relationship, is that with that actually in the relationship as well? I think the question, I want to answer to that question as well, but I think another question is there something that you would consider, anything that would make you close it and still maintain a relationship?
The same. I feel the same. Dishonesty, because now we have to start over from something different and rebuild. Because
Okay.
there's been trust been broken. When we were supposed to be on the same page, and you're on a different page, and I'm on one page, you're on another page. So now we have to close that chapter, and we have to start over.
And to be totally honest, like we've been at that point to where we've been close to that point to where I slipped up, as a man,
I'm glad he's being
and
honest.
I didn't even have to, but I don't know what I felt at the moment. I don't know if a spirit got at me or something.
Big Mike, how you mess up an open relationship, man? How do you how do you screw that?
You know,
up?
I ask myself that all the time, like, and I
I'm
even
just
asked
kidding.
him. I say, excuse me. I said, I'm not understanding, because if you have a woman, not only a woman, I consider myself to be a boss bitch.
Yeah.
I take control of the situation in any situation that I'm in, and I have multiple businesses, and I'm very successful at what I do. Um, you got the lover, you got the wife, you got the helpmate, you got the everything all at once.
But you understand too, our background, like we've had, like I said, we have had several businesses, but we had strip club also, really big, popular where we're from, and so it's just a lot of women and a lot of interaction, a lot of other people's energy.
It just was
Yeah.
the energy,
What they
and
say,
the energy in the room, and so
what they
that
say in Bad Santa, shit happens when you party naked. That's kind of that's kind of the situation.
yeah.
I hear you.
So yeah, that that type of situation.
But also too, I was immature. Now see, that's the thing about it too. Like I'm not afraid to admit that I had my immature moment.
Okay.
And I've had several immature moments, and like now I look back, I said, man, why? Like, what made me? What happened? And I actually, all I can say is that I wasn't a grown man, and I don't care how old you are. And when I tell people this, a lot of people get offended, but us as men, I don't care how old you are, I don't care how successful you are. If you're not thinking as a man should think, you're still a child, and you're gonna do childish things.
That's why this is not for it's only for adults, real
It's
Not
adults.
for the faint of heart.
Yes,
So
this is for
I want
definitely adults.
I want to ask Gayle, is this something, I know you coach people, is this something that you see happening in people that you work with? It's where one person kind of like breaks the rules and you have to kind of like bring them back.
Yeah, definitely. There's that's going to happen. And so, yeah, you're right. You kind of have to start over. Sometimes you definitely have to close it down. Let's start back from scratch, build again, and start building that trust back up. And there's a couple other, like another reason like an open relationship would get closed is possibly maybe there's some kind of life event that's going on, and having the extra relationships kind of complicate that. So you just kind of need to kind of come back to home base, deal with what's going on in your life, or maybe it's even like a new child that's being born, or a death in the family. I mean, it could be a lot of different things, or sometimes it's just like, let's take some time for ourselves. We haven't taken time to really connect with each other in a deep way, because that's the one thing about monogamy is like it's a mirror where you can go really deep, and it's going to show you a lot more of what's going on in you if you allow it to. Whereas when you open your relationship and you have these different mirrors, it's going to show you different aspects of yourself. So it depends, people flex in and out, or sometimes if it's a new relationship and they want to have an open relationship, a lot of times I'll recommend, hey, let's get your foundation really solid between you two before you venture out and into the open area.
Okay.
So those are some other things that can play, but the broken rules, and that's something like when somebody's trying working on their pillar, I call them pillars, or their boundaries, however you want to call it, their rules for their relationship. Some people will put in there, you know, if something happens and I do hook up with somebody, that I immediately tell you right after. And some people that's been very successful for, because they know that, okay, this happened, let's touch base, let's come back to home, is this okay, is this good? So again, it's a personal thing between two people, how you want to handle it.
Jazz, you didn't answer the question. Is there anything that would make you say, you know what, I'm done with all these other penises? No, I'm just
No, yeah, but no, I you know, Gayle and Honey hit it right on the head, Big Mike. Honesty. Again, that's why I said, and I let it be a preface, if you're not good at monogamy, you cannot venture into these type of relationships at all, because honesty is the foundation and the bedrock of everything. So if you can't do monogamy, you can't do these. But yeah, it's definitely honesty though. So if we feel like things are not what it need to be, then we definitely have to hit back to the core. Even for myself, when I had a glitch, so it's not just, you know, me and Mike, you know, we all fuck up and move the needle further than it should have been moved. But when those times happen, you have to just bring it back to the home base and like talk about what's really important. How did that happen? Because a lot of times outside of the person who committed the act, right? Because I'm having fun, kicking it, doing my thing, but then you have to get back to the reality of somebody else's emotion. How did that leave your partner feeling? Did it bring up insecurities? Did it bring up other things? And we have to get back to that. And so even if you don't close it forever, just for a season, just so you guys can do just like what Gayle said, is really get back into that real moment and really look, you know, eye to eye, so I can do my own personal development. And, you know, because it does bring a difference in personal development and growing when you're doing the eye to eye versus me just having fun and just going and going, because hell, there's no problems there. I'm just enjoying life. But you know, that's when you have to sometimes just slow it down for a second. But as far as permanently closing it, no. Yeah, the thing is just like when you start to experience life on a different term, it's, you know, I don't want to bring up bad examples for people, but like once you're free of certain dogmas and stigmas and things like that, you pretty much are free.
All right. Because that goes into, we have a comment from Beezy, and I kind of want Gayle to kind of fill this one. Beezy says, put another way, once you are open, you can never go back. Do you find that being the truth? Do people like, they try, but there's always that hunger in the back of their mind for that freedom or those experiences? Do you find that that's a common refrain?
Yeah, I think it's a lot more common. It's hard to put it back in the box. You know, there are some people who can successfully do it, and they may do it for years. But then the topic always seems to come up again. And so, you know, and that's something that I talk about with open relationships. Like if you're in this dating stage and you're dating somebody, bring it up at that point, that in some point you may want to be non-monogamous. It might not be right now, because other words, the expectation is going to be monogamy, because that's what we were all taught to believe is the right thing to do. So that's typically the expectation that people will come in with. So yeah, if any of you guys are out there dating in this world, just if you feel like you're going to be non-monogamous or you want to be, bring it up right from the start. Just weed it out.
And Damien, can you give her an opportunity just to say that one more time? Just because this is something that I say to all of my friends that are single, like all of them. So this is being recorded, and anybody that know me personally, I have said what Gayle has said. So now you get it from an expert, not just me, but an expert. because I feel like people should bring this up. Like, don't wait until you're in your relationship and you start, bringing up stuff and pulling out stuff. Like, that's betrayal. Like, you're leading that you're going to be monogamous. With me and the guy that I'm with, we talked about these things before there was a commitment. Like, we talked about it in depth. We talked about many different things. And so it was a hard conversation for many people, but for us, I think it was just, we were blessed that we were on the same page. But I really want Gayle just to highlight that one more time, because I really, really, really think, especially in our culture now that we live in, people, we just don't tell the truth. And Gayle knows that. And I think it's just honest. I think it's good, just like, even if you don't say, hey, you want to swing? Like, you don't have to say that. I'm sure Gayle has some great words that'll work, but just find out if that person's curious or not about it. Like, do you recommend, like, Gayle, for them to take their new boo to maybe a swingers club or maybe a strip club, just to see how does that work, or how far are they willing to go? What does that look like?
Well, you've got the right word, curious, right? Like, approach it with curiosity, not just like, this is who I am and this is what I'm going to be. And you can do that. It's just, we're always attracting and repelling. Okay. So if you just repelled somebody away, you did yourself a favor. So don't even try and run after it. Just let it go. So yeah, if you start remaining curious about it, like, I'll ask a guy, how do you feel about seeing me naked with another guy? Like, just see what comes up. Does this extreme jealousy come up and I'm traditional and that just doesn't happen? Well, that's not your people. Okay. You're outside your species. So the best way is,
are you finding people aren't honest because they're saying like, oh, I'm fine with it, and then it just like it happens, you're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Is that
yeah.
okay?
Especially I see this probably women more. Like, the man will say, okay, I want, eventually I want to open a relationship. I'm okay with monogamy right now. And then when the woman just is like, well, if I could just get him to taste me, to see what I'm like, he's not going to want anybody else. And then soon enough, it's going to come up again. And then it just blows up. So it's something you really want to vet out. And it maybe you do want to go to some swinger or some play party or, something like that, and see, how do they react if you're interacting with another man? Is there tension there? Is the jealousy coming up? Because jealousy isn't about sex, it's about self. It's all about you. What programming do you have so deep inside of you that that's not a possibility? What is it? There's some kind of attachment there, and the yogis would say attachment causes suffering. So if you like, let's say you have a flower, and you see the flower and you see it in the meadow, and you can go over and you love it and it's beautiful and you adore it and you see it, but it's in the ground. But then you have another way, you take and you yank it up and it's like yours, right? I'm not going to let you go. You're mine now. And then what happens is it eventually dies, right? Because that attachment basically is struggling or strangling out everything else. And so those are layers that need to start being peeled apart. Belief systems need to be, it's like an onion. You keep taking off one layer of guilt and shame and dishonesty and, what belief system you had in the past, until you can get to the core. And at the core is freedom. And that's where you end up having compersion. And so do you guys know what compersion is?
Why don't you explain it for the audience?
Go ahead, explain it.
Compersion is actually not like a real word in the dictionary, but
for the GED section.
So compersion is when you can genuinely have joy that your partner is having sex with somebody else or with somebody else. Like, all you care about is that they are having their best life. And so when you can get to that place, it's very freeing.
Shannon, I'm curious. What do you? I know we've talked about
Shannon's
this
like,
in situations.
I know. I'm like,
I
look
want to
at
know.
Shannon's face.
I want to know because one of the comments that came up was, "Has Shannon been converted or not?" She's like, "Not for me, not for you." You still muted. Oh, we can't hear you. All right. We can't hear you. It's okay. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I got a sense that the answer is no.
That's you.
Let me try to unmute you. Hold on one second. How about now?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. There you go.
Okay. So, in my relationship, it's been discussed, but I think that I think the basis of it is he wants to experience two women at the same time. And because he hasn't done that before, and honestly, it does kind of concern me. You guys have touched on some of those things. I guess there are rules to it, but we've never discussed like the levels to it, and the rules and how these relationships tend to go deeper than just sex. There has to be a serious understanding, right? And I don't know. I guess when thinking about it, I kind of feel like, I don't know, I've expressed it to you guys before that I just see this scenario. I just see this scene where he's having sex with another girl and he starts, I don't know, making noises that he's never made, or, he has an orgasm that is just so crazy. And then it'll make me feel like, what the hell? Like, what am I not doing? And so, yeah, I kind of worry about feeling inadequate in some way as a woman if he just displays like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. So
It's
I
funny.
am
Go ahead,
not, yeah,
You're
I'm
not
not
converted.
really.
You're not converted.
So yeah, and then too, just kind of like the relationship stuff that we go through, I'm kind of looking at it. Maybe this is the wrong way to look at it, but I kind of feel like, he needs to earn that. And I don't know if we're really there yet, I mean, I do love him and care about him, and I want the best for him. I want him to experience all the great things in life, but that one, I don't know if I'm there yet. Because I know for sure that he is not willing to share me with another guy. And he is not willing to allow me to have a relationship with a woman if he's not involved. I know that for sure.
Gayle, I'm interested in, like, how do you unpack that?
Come see me, honey, when you're ready.
Are there some common themes there that you're seeing a lot in the people that you talk to? Those kind of
yeah, there are. And those are all very normal things to definitely start to unpack. And again, that jealousy is about self. So it's unpacking where that jealousy is coming from, why it's there. And then you can start moving from there. And sometimes that takes a little bit of time. So again, there's no rush to the finish line. Okay. It's a journey. It's not a destination. And so, talking about things and finding out, listening to different things in books and really having a guide, like a relationship coach, that's where you can start getting through those messy pieces and find out, like, well, what do you want? What do I want? What works for me? Well, does that work? And then setting up those pillars, What are the pillars of your relationship like? Like Honey and Big Mike, honesty is obviously a big, huge one. But Jazz, I mean, that's going to be the top on everybody's, is being honest and telling the truth. And, you know, one thing that I loved, Jazz, about something that you said is you goofed up and you guys were able to unpack it together rather than just getting, I'm sure there were emotions, but that's the big person communication is I screwed up. Let's unpack it. Where did it come from? Why did I do that? Why did I feel compelled to do that? And then you just learned something, a whole new layer about yourself, which is fantastic.
Man, I
It
was.
didn't feel fantastic at the time, but learning never does. But you know,
but what did you gain out of that? Like,
no,
what did you
definitely
learn out of that?
Yeah, it was definitely a deeper sense of intimacy between he and I, a greater understanding of myself. And it's always growth, you know, it's definitely always growth. But as we know, growth is not fun. We would like to say caterpillar and look like a butterfly, but you know, you actually have to do the work to become a butterfly.
You got to break out.
It's funny. While I was doing the research to kind of come up with things related to this topic, I was watching a video, and you know, I don't know how I'm feeling about. I'm still like, you know, on the fence of how I feel about it, but I want to kind of bring it up and see what other people kind of think, if they agree, disagree, or what have you. I was a guy talking about his relationship. He had a non-monogamous relationship, and he was saying, he was like, you know, why is it that you can see your children being made happy by other people? Like somebody picks your kids up and tickle them, and it gives you all this joy and excitement, and you feel so happy for your kid that someone is showing them, like, it's making them smile and laugh and feeling something amazing. But it's not the same thing when it comes to your partner. What is it about it where it's like this ownership thing, where the idea of somebody else making your partner feel good, making them smile, making happy, totally like does something to you, as opposed to, why isn't that you don't feel the same way when somebody is making your kid laugh and smile and happy than if you had your spouse making them laugh and smile, somebody else making your spouse laugh, smile, and happy. I'm just kind of want to know what other people think on that, because I couldn't really figure out the way I think about it and why, but I wonder if anybody had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's where that's compersion, is like when you genuinely be happy that they're in their happy place, whatever that looks like. It may not feel comfortable for you sometimes. You know, there might still be some jealousy that kind of comes in there, but when you're aware of it, then you could kind of deal with it. But yeah, it's a good point. Like, why not? You know, because we've kind of grown up in this patriarchal place where the man owns the woman, and that's why we get married, and property, and there's this safety and security around it. And that's probably the biggest point, the biggest pain point is in this is, Shannon, your mic is feeding back, sweetie.
Right. I got
it. Okay. So now I lost my train of thought. All right, help me, yours. Help me get back on track. So just being able to really be in a space. See, I lost it. I totally lost it. Oops. It'll come back.
It'll come back. Once we get off, you'll be like, oh, there it is.
I know. And I had it, but then I dropped it. Sorry.
I think Shannon had a question. You still had a question?
Yeah.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
All right. So my question is for Gayle. And this question is about monogamy. Do you think that monogamy is realistic, and why or why not?
Do I think it's what?
Do you think that monogamy is realistic?
Oh, realistic. Oh,
why or why not?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's very realistic. I mean, people have done it for years, right? The thing is relationships have a timing to them, right? So that's why there could be divorce. I think that when you just recognize if a relationship and the time is up, the contract's up, then let go of it. It's okay. There's no shame in that, right? But a lot of people were monogamous up to that point. Okay. And it wasn't because they wanted to have sex with somebody. It's just for whatever reason, they grew apart. They had different interests and all of that. So yeah, I do think it's absolutely realistic because to me, it's a sacred path, just like polyamory is a sacred path. It's just what you choose to do and being honest in what you're doing. That's when it works.
Did that answer your question, Shannon?
Yeah, well, I mean, it just seems that being faithful to one person, or, you know, having sex with one person, being interested in one person, it just seems like that is what is ultimately pushed in society. And then it just seems to be such a challenge, especially for men. It just seems to be so hard to do. So I don't know, I guess when I was around 18 or 19, I started wondering, like, is monogamy really natural? I mean, I think
Yeah.
I kind of get the idea that it's not so natural for men, and that's okay, because men are kind of encouraged or patted on the back, you know, when they have multiple women, you know, even at the same time. But for women, not so much. And I just feel like, wow, well, I began to think like, wow, there's so many people in this world. How are we realistically expected to only be connected to one person for our entire lives?
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. Serial monogamy, right? So is monogamy realistic? Yeah, it is. Now, is it for the rest of your life? That's, you know, and are you going to be miserable just to stay monogamous, right? And if we think, if you go back in history, because you mentioned, were we made for that, right? Were we actually made for monogamy? No, we weren't. It actually used to be that it was a tribe of people, and the men would go out, they'd be the hunters, the women are at home, the women are having sex with different men. So then different men are seeding the woman, she'd get pregnant. They didn't know who the dad was. And so in the village, everybody took care of everybody's children because they never knew really who the dad was. So that's actually the roots of where we kind of came from, was that kind of thing. And then, you know, it started progressing into more and more influence of the church and how things should be, and interpretations around, you know, what something should be between a man and a wife. And so, and that's where those are just belief systems that are entrenched in us from when we were young. And, you know, I believe as this is becoming more and more progressive and happening more and more, I think this kind of non-traditional relationships are really going to be what the future is. Just my opinion.
I agree.
There you go.
I agree. Technically, I really do.
All right. Well, this has been an amazing, I think we're going to end at that point. This has been an amazing, I think extremely enlightening conversation. I just can't thank Gayle enough for joining us. Let me show you, if you want to you want to talk and experience more of what this amazing person has to say, let me put her information up there so you can like see. If you want to, first thing you want to do, if you want to email her, that's her email address. So I'm gonna leave that for a while. If you have any questions or you want to schedule some time with her, or you want some coaching done, I mean, I'm sure you would get a ton out of it. She also, let me leave that for a minute. And all of this will be in the description. I'll put this in the description on the at the bottom of the page once we finish with the show. She also has a Facebook channel. So I would absolutely recommend that you go and follow her on Facebook. She has a women's group channel as well on Facebook. So if any women will have any questions that they want to, or curiosities that she can help you through, or if you want a safe place to just kind of talk about some of the feelings that you're having related to possibly wanting to explore different type of non-traditional relationships, she can help you with that. Her website is this. Is on relationship, and If you want to follow her on IG, I think that's where most of us will probably be following her. This is her Instagram. So please, 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 go and follow her and like her posts and just kind of soak in what this amazing woman has to say. So I know I've gotten a lot. I got a lot from the brief conversation we had last night. I've got a lot from today. It's just an amazing, amazing person. I really do appreciate you spending some time with us today.
Oh, you're welcome. And you know what? Something I didn't tell you about that I just finished, and we can put this in the show notes, is
Okay.
I have a freebie on open relationships. So it's just freebie.relationshipsevolving.com. And if you go there and you put your information in, you can get a PDF that I created on open relationships. But then I also have access to 3 videos that I did that talk about open relationships. And, it was made more for, kind of approaching even like that dating stage, and what I talked about bringing up about dating, and if you want a non-monogamous relationship, to talk about it first. So anybody is welcome to go to that. So we can add that into your show notes too.
Please send that to me and I'll definitely put it in there. So once again, I want to thank all of my guests, Honey and Big Mike. You guys were great. I really appreciate you coming and sharing your stories with us. Everybody was loving it. Terrence Johnson couldn't get enough of you guys' stories. So I really appreciate you coming through.
You're so welcome.
We
Thank
appreciate
you
so
for having us.
No, it was an absolute pleasure. All right, everybody. That's gonna probably wrap up the show for now. If, like I said, feel free to come back next Tuesday. We'll have another topic related to either relationships, politics, or pop culture. It'll probably be more relationship based because those seems the one that people seem to like the most. But otherwise, we'll talk to you guys later.